Okay. So last time we were talking about the mitzvah of yibum. Okay. Now, let's just read it through fast, and I just want to really talk about the end, which we didn't. I don't think we finished it. Ish etzivonu liois ayovon noise es ish. See here. He said, we mentioned that he used an Arabic word of bikon, which in the state of, and it could be that there's a mitzvah to be ki'ilu. It's not only the Maisa Yibum, the mitzvah is to be in the state of Yibum, but then we have to deal with why only be Rishon is there and not afterwards. It's a very odd thing. The Maisa mitzvah is to be Rishon and it to be in the state of Yibum. So then he continues. Liois hayovum noise es eshes ochiv. So there's no mitzvah. You see, Eilusin has like this two steps. There's getting married with Maisa Kinyan, and then there's the suin afterwards. Here, there's only Liois Ayovim Noise Es Eshes Ochiv. Kishemeis V'loini Zera. So the mitzvah is Nisuin. Okay. Liois, that it should be Nosui. And the Maisa mitzvah is the beer. Huomo Yis'ale Yevomoi Yovo Aleho. So it's very interesting. The Torah says something about a Maisa beer, and the mitzvah becomes the suin. Ukfa hisboru dine mitzvah zo mesecha chuberes lo. It's called meseches yebom. Okay, babe. Okay. So interesting, even though over here he doesn't talk about the Maisa mitzvah. The mitzvah is to be in the matzah of Nisuin. He doesn't talk about, he quotes a pasuk Yibum, but the mitzvah is to be in the state of Nisuin, I guess through the Yibum. But in all other places, the Ram is very clear that the mitzvah is the Maisa Yibum. In Minyan HaKotzer, in the Protei mitzvahs, and in Mishnah Torah. Hilchus Yibum v'Yibum, Hilchus Yibum b'Chalitzah, Perek Aleph Halacha Aleph, Mitzvah Seimen HaTorah, Shiyabim Odom Eishes Ochiv, Imeis v'Chulei Imeis b'Lei Zera, Shenemar Ubein Ein Lo Yevom Yovolel. So the mitzvah is Yevom Yovolel, as the pasuk goes. Why the Rambam over here, even though he quotes the pasuk, seems to say something different than the pasuk, is certainly odd, to say the least. Yeah. So just one more word about this bikon. Even though the Ram claims it's the bikon to be in the state of, but it's not a shrana, and the Ram calls it amal, which means the mitzvah gilu is a kiyum. Whatever this is, it's not like din tumas meis, din tumas there's a kiyum. What does it mean that the mitzvah is to be married as opposed to the Maaseh Yibum is very strange. I'm not sure exactly what it means. I'm not sure exactly what I'm just driving it. But I'm just telling you, from the words, that's the word say. And all of the places says what you would expect it to say. Okay, now, next. The next mitzvah is chalitzah. Mitzvah Reish Yud Zayin. Mitzvah Sheva, 17 Mosayim, Hi Shetzivonu. And again, this is an Amal. This is a mitzvah Gila. And the same way, it's not like a din of chalitza, it's a mitzvah to do the chalitza. And the Ram also in Hilchos Yibum Chalitza, Perek Aleph Halacha Beis. That's what you would expect. And l'chayra, there's a kiyum in chalitza, and therefore the Ram uses the phrase amar, which is usually a mitzvah gila. Well, there's a kiyum, as we pointed out from the Minchas Chinuch. He doesn't discuss the Arabic words, but that l'chayra is the conclusion you should draw. And he doesn't call it Aishran, he calls it Amar. Now, this was really Akdom. The fun starts with the next step, okay? These two postulates, I didn't say anything, but I had to say them to get started. Now, let's now get started. We'll see. The mashmos of the Gemara in Ksubos, Samar Dalam and Aleph, and the Rambam, Hilchos Yibum Chalitza, Perek Beis Halacha Tesayin. And here's the point, okay? See, at least I always thought, I was brought up like that, when you have a mitzvah, it's kaifin ala mitzvahs. Okay? Now, the question is, in respect, or when you look from the backdrop of the mitzvah chalitza, is the chiyuv on the isha lachlis. She said, no, I don't mind staying. We don't, maybe today we don't allow yibum, or she doesn't want yibum. She doesn't want, I don't want either one. I don't want yibum, I don't want chalitza, I don't want to be bought. So what happens? So the Gemara and the Ram seem to say that there's no obligation on the mitzad the mitzvah. You can see there might be different tainas that might mechayiv her, but mitzad the kaifan mitzvah, there's no kriya for such a thing. The Achreinim discussed this issue. What about Nisha Zakena? She's not interested. She doesn't want to have children. She can't have children. She's not interested. So the Achreinim have svaris, and they discuss this issue. Comes the Chacham Tzvi in Siman Al, the first Siman Chacham Tzvi, that the chiyuv of the mitzvah chalitza you can't call it a chiyuv. So you say chit's a chiyuv? No, chit is not a chiyuv. But it's a mitzvah which depends upon the ritzayin of the ish and the isha to do a chalitza. And he says maybe it's almost like the mezuzah shetanai of the chiyuv mezuzah is the you need a bias or bias on the bias. It's a very interesting thing that there's no chiyuv chalitza until they want to do. Very, very strange thing. Then there's to that, okay, that you can live with. It's a mitzvah, but there's no chiyuv. Say that. And kofar on mitzvahs is only a mitzvah which are chiyuvim. Then, even more interesting is a tshuva from a Bitzal Chonon in Ein Yitzchok, Chelik Beis, Simon, Samach Beis, that he says, and this is very strange. Okay, it's very strange from the Rambam's point of view that he says that the same way, you know why there's no mitzvah chalitza? The same way there's no mitzvah shchita, and they're both only a matir. The shchita is master the bots of bosaf achilo, and the chalitza is matir the isa the shuk. And then he asks the kasha. He asks the kasha. Doch is mavu in Rambam in minyan mitzvahs doch a mitzvah of shchita, and there's doch a mitzvah of chalitza. So then he says that the mitzvah of shchita depends upon the rotzon tibosa, and the mitzvahs chalitza depends upon the rotzon that you want the heter l'shuk or whatever it is. You don't want it, you don't have it. So basically, they're very similar, both of them. See, I just don't see. It's more you have to work in this and ask yourself. In other words, does the Chacham Tzvi, let's just talk between us and just understand this. We said, the work of Minchas is not like that. The question is, since the Ram says Shchita is the Ramar, l'chayra, there's a kiyum in Shchita, but not time to do a Shchita. Shchita for achila l'chayra is a kiyum, and the kubi is a kiyum of chalit. In other words, see, I'm just a little bit confused. You see, both the Chacham Tzvi and Rabbi Yitzchak Chonon say it's a mitzvah, but you get the impression in the Ein Yitzchak that it's only a matir, that the mitzvahs can be only a matir, which I don't understand that category. We basically, the way we were setting up is that you could imagine that there's a kiyum and there's no chiyuv, both by shchita and by chalitza. That's what I would assume. I'm not sure if it's only a matir. What does that mean? Maybe there's no kiyum. And not sure the Chacham Tzvi. Okay, say that. That's what we have over here. Whatever it is, it's a very interesting thing. See, I would have said a priori and added the Gemara and the Rambam that if they don't want yibum, then it's kofar on chalitza. both the Rambam, who counts it as a mitzvah, and it's in the Gemara. It's not in the that Kilu, the Chasam Sefer is not, this is beyond the purview. The Chasam Sefer says, Rabbi Isai, in Zoya is mashma, is kaifer achlit. Okay, good to say that. But in Talmud Bavli, and the way the Rambam presents it, which is Talmud Bavli, there's no chiyuv, but he still counts it. So the problem is the Rambam, that there is, on one hand, the Gemara says ain't kaifer al mitzvahs, and the Rambam counts it minyan al mitzvahs. So the question, what does that mean? So I would have said that there's a kiyum and not a chiyuv, and you would compare the shechita and chalitza. The discussion in Ein Yitzchak Bimati is very odd. Not sure what that means. If you're looking like the Ravid, there's an Aseh, Seder. But if you count it as a mitzvah and the mitzvah is lishchot, so what does that mean? Oh, so that's where we're standing. Okay, so I would have said that there's a kiyum without a chiyuv, and shechita and chalitza the same. Now, so tzivonu is an amar, and then he says liyois ayavoma chaletzes liyavoma liyavoma. So there is bekitza. This is a biko. Even chalitza is a biko, which you understand yourself is very odd. That the mitzvah is to be in the matzav. If you're not in the matzav of yibum, you should be in the matzav of chalitza. Wherever that means, we'll see. But that's what the words say. At least in the translation of the Arabic word, bikon. So the lush now, with this backdrop, then he says, it is a very important phrase, Liyos hayevomo cheletzes liyavom, liyavomo. So we have to understand, this will come back to later, that the yavomo should do a chalitza. We'll have to see, and we go on, who the mitzvah is on. Is the mitzvah on the Isha? What does it mean exactly? Im, and here's the important line, Im lo yiso'eno. If he doesn't marry her, if there's no yibum, then that the lo yiso'eno means yibum, then there should be chalitza. Im lo yiso'eno. So this again is that yibun is equivalent to the suin, as we said before. Liyos hayavom noisei es eshes. So it's noisei. So if im lo yisaeno, if he doesn't do yibum is the suin. That's the mitzvah. Here there's a problem. And I think it's a very serious issue. Because as we started before, the Achronim say the chiyuv depends upon the want. The rotzain for the heter. Okay? So, however, it says that the mitzvah exists once there's no yibum. It doesn't depend upon the rotzer and not rotzer. Klishitz yivonu, liyos yivomo, chaletzes liyivomo. Im lo yiseno. So there's a mitzvah. So that's what I would say. That the Rambam over here says exactly what I said before, that the mitzvah chalitza is a kiyum, not a chiyuv, and the kiyum only exists is he says mitzvah yibum kodemes lechalitza, and however, if there's no yibum, then there's a kiyum chalitza. It doesn't say the rotza, not rotza. That's what I would have said. I would say the mitzvah itself would say is only a kiyum. It's like shrita. I would say the kiyum of shrita is if you want to eat pasta, it's a kiyum of shrita. There's no chiyum. That's what I would say. I think it's a very interesting thing because he doesn't mention Hatzanim Lo Yisrael. Now, Vu Amar Yis'aleh, V'cholza Na'aloi, Me'al Raglo. Although the mitzvah chalitza is that she should take the shoe off his foot, and that is chalitza. V'cholza na'aloi me'al ragloi. That's what she does. Okay? Now, this, just the question, what does the Ram quote in the Kisvei Yad? I'm not sure how important, but just tell you what it says. V'cholza na'aloi, or v'cholza na'alo me'al ragloi. In all Kisvei Yad, and also in Ibn Eoiv, and in the Minyan HaKotzer, it says me'al ragloi. V'cholza na'aloi me'al ragloi. For some reason, Ibn Tibbon, it's not there. I'm not sure what to make of it, and I'm not sure how important it is. I'm just telling you that's what's there. Now, next. Now, so if I ask you now, what's the chalitza? The chalitza is to take the shoe off the foot, correct? That's what it says. What about the Kriyas HaParsha? What about the whole Seder of Rekika? The Ram doesn't mention it over here, correct? The Ram only says, he says, Leo say Yvoma Chaletzes, Liyivma, Liyivma, Imlo Yisraelo, Wamo Yisrael, B'cholza Na'aloi, Me'al Raglo. So here, if you recall, in Shirish Yud Beis, the Rambam writes, Shemitzvah's chalitza is achas, even though the kamet tzivuyim in the Torah, mitzvah's chalitza is counted as one, not as many. Shemitzvah's chalitza achas, v'lo nimne chalitza u'ekika u'kriya acher she'amakubetz mehem he meleches hachalitza. You shouldn't have a separate mitzvah called Chalitza and Rekika and Kriya, but the whole compact, the composite of Chalitza and Rekika and Kriya is the mitzvah, and he meleches hachalitza. V'hi mitzvah achas. So it means the mitzvah is not the chalitza sandal by itself, but it's the whole set of chalitza, which includes all chelik of the chalitza, and everything together is the mitzvah. Now, let's go. So next step. So that's clear. Even the Ram over here only talks about the chalitza, and it's very clear for what he says in Sherish Yudbeis that the co-composite is the mitzvah. Now, let's now do a new step here, okay? In chalitza, there are two parts. There are two aspects to it. There's the kiyum mitzvah, and there's the heti yivum of the shuk. Okay, that is very clear. A second point, which just really is akdama to our discussion, comes taste and nida on samuch vav omid beis diva masakor that he says midaraisa there's no such thing as a chatchilu b'diavad in heterim. If something is a matter, there's no lechatchilu b'diavad. Either the dove it's mutter or it's not mutter. In mitzvahs, there's a derech sometimes to mekayim the mitzvah lechatchila and to mekayim the mitzvah b'diavad. But in heterim, there's no lechatchila b'diavad. Either the het is chal or it's not chal. For example, in the mitzvah of tzitzis, lechatchila shevtchelis lovan. B'diavad, you mekayim the mitzvah lovan levad. There's lechatchila b'diavad yotza. But when you talk about a heter, you don't talk about yotza. Either there is a heter, there's no heter. Now, besides chalitza being a mitzvah, chalitza is makeves, chalitza sand is makeves in the heti yivum l'shuk. The Ram says this in Hilchos Yibum Chalitza, Perek Dalet Halacha Tes and Yud Beis. Perek Dalet Halacha Tes and Yud Beis. Now, so l'cheira, in the kiyum hamitzvah of chalitza, you need the whole seder, you including the kika and kriya, as it says in the parsha, and the Rambam Hilchos Chalitza Perek Dal Locha Tesi Yud Beis. So l'chatchil you need a kika. What's ma'akev is the chalitza, but l'chatchil you need Rikika and Kriya. But then it comes out that maybe So, but we don't know what's going on. Is the mitzvah, you see, we know that chalitza is ma'akiv in the heter. Okay? And there's a chalois heter with chalitza levad. But let's say you do chalitza without rekika and kriya. Do you only have a heter? Or no, you have a mitzvah. L'chatchila, the mitzvah of chalitza is chalitza, kriya, and rekika. But the evet, it's chalitza. Or no, that the mitzvah of chalitza requires all three. Without all three, you have nothing. However, the heter doesn't require the mitzvah, so we don't know this. All is putting everything together. The whole discussion that in heter there's no lechatchilim b'di'evet. Okay, we know that chalitza is ma'akiv in the heter. Whether what about the mitzvah? We know nothing. Maybe you need all of them for the mitzvah, or that since the mitzvah there's a chatchilim b'di'evet maybe, and the chatchila is everything. And b'di'evet is chalitza levad. Now, here comes other interesting. This I alluded to before. The Torah says, M'cholza. So the question is the mitzvah on the Isha? Is the mitzvah on the Ish? Who's the mitzvah chalitza on? The Rambam, if you read it simply, the simple reading of the Rambam over here, by mitzvah shvaesrei, he shivur lios hayavomo chaletzes livomo. So l'cheira, the Ram says the mitzvah is on the Isha. She should do the chalitza. The mitzvah is lios, that she should be chalitza. Me and mitzvah kotzer. I say you should zayin. Lachloitz liyovom. Means the Yavoma should do it. Lachloitz liyovom. Shenema v'cholta na'arloi mi'al ragloi. The Yavoma does the chalitza. So, and it's mistaba like that. The mitzvah, if you remember, the mitzvahs in Shemini, whatever it is, the mitzvah are the psukim Torah shemiksav. The tzivui in the Torah is v'cholta na'aloi. So the mitzvah is incumbent on her. She should be chalitza now. Okay, so until this point, l'cheira, someone who was just hearing at this point with the ideas we have says, says a double portion. What am I talking? Comes the Sefer Chinuch, and he says that the mitzvahs yibum chalitza, both yibum and chalitza, is incumbent only on zechorim bilvad. This is what he says in mitzvah Tov Kuf Tzadiches Tov Kuf Tzadites v'noyheges b'chol mokoim b'chol zman b'zchorim v'oiva al zeh v'loy rotzo liyabe im yevimtoi v'loy lachloitz b'roya livovai bitel aseh zeh. I just, this is a very interesting phrase, and I don't want to talk about it. Delicious. And he doesn't want the head of them. I'm not sure what it means. Whatever it is, that's a very interesting phrase. That's not really, we're learning the Rambam. At this point, the phrase out to you. But whatever it is the Chinuch says very clearly, and and that the mitzvah is only on Scholim. So the interesting thing is that he puts it together. We have to understand. He doesn't want either. He wants neither. What does this Lashon mean? The Rambam in Mitzvah Pei Beis says the yibum chalitza is counted as two mitzvahs because the Matiki Ashmua said mitzvahs yibum kaidemis the mitzvah chalitza. So the mitzvah yibum, mitzvah chalitza, and there's a seder kedima. So what does that mean? It means that without the Matiki Ashmua saying mitzvahs yibum kaidemis the mitzvah chalitza, yibum and chalitza should have been one mitzvah. So if yibum and chalitza should have been one mitzvah, how could you imagine that? If the yibum is on the ish and the chalitza is on the isha. In other words, you should have the option. In other words, I have a mitzvah, I have two options. It's like, it's like Shiur Shvi. There are two ways of flipping it. I could have done it with yibum, and I could have done the mitzvah with chalitza. Or it's like Korban Oliviyah, Ashila is dollars, whatever. Or, whatever the various ways of the mitzvah are. So the mitzvah would have been either yibum or chalitza. L'chei, you could talk about that, it makes sense. And that l'chei was alluding to in his phrase, lo yibum lo chalitza. So l'chei, it means the mitzvah is on the schol in both of them. But if the mitzvah of yibum is on the zocha, and the mitzvah of the keva, and the mitzvah of chalitza is on the keva, I'm not sure you could have imagined it with one mitzvah, and I'm not sure what a Seder Kedima is. Seder Kedima is a my chiyuvim, or my. But if it's on two separate people, it's a little bit odd, and maybe that is what was the predicated the chinuch to say the mitzvah and scholim. So it's a very strange thing that even though the isha does the ma'aseh mitzvah, she does the ma'aseh mitzvah, but the chiyuv is on the ovam to come to Bezdin that she should be able to be choyletz. And I guess by presenting himself for chalitza, he's doing the mitzvah. However, that is very nice in the chinuch, But even though you would have said the same thing in the Rambam with this whole svara, but the Maisa is, the Ram says, Lios hayivom chaletzis. In Mishnah Torah, in Perek Aleph of Hilchos Yibum Chalitzah Locha Beis, Lo Rotza Liyabeim, O Shloi Rotzesa, he Harizeh Choyletz Lo, Harizeh Choyletz Lo. What does it mean Choyletz Lo? He's not taking it. His shoes mean Harizeh Lo. So what does that mean? Umitzah Semer Torah Lachloitz Im Loi Rotza Liyabeim. Shenem Locholza Na. Na'aloi. So does the Rambam mean like the chinuch? This phrase is very, very interesting. He says, Harizeh chilitz lo. It's talking about the ish. Okay. So that's what we have now. This is a very odd thing, you know. So it's a very odd thing. The ish is doing everything. The man is presenting himself in Bezdin, and he's a complete shave out to Aseh, and he's doing the mitzvah. He presents himself for Chalitzah. Now, the question is, we said that the mitzvah is lios hayavom chaletzes, and lios means in the matzav, it's a bikon. So the question is, what exactly is the bikon? What is the matzav of chalitza? So one could suggest that the mitzvah is the chalis heta, that the yivoma is the teres l'shuk, as the Gemara says the kedushin, and you dalam and aleph chalitza manolon tichsiv v'nikla shmo b'Yisrael beis chalutza noal kivin shecholatz bo naal kutra l'chol Yisrael. Okay, this sounds okay, but you think about it in context of everything we just say, it's like, we don't know what's going on, because we said that the mitzvah chalitza is certainly everything together. The chalitza with the rikika and the kriya. Okay, whether the mitzvah is miskayim one of them by itself, we eat everything, we spoke back and forth, whatever it is, but the heter is with the chalitza itself, correct? So if we're saying that you can separate the heter from the mitzvah, and that the mitzvah is only if you do all of them, and the heter is with chalitza itself, so then it becomes very odd to say that the base chalutza now, that the chalas heter is the mitzvah, because the heter is nothing to do with the mitzvah. So it depends upon the whole discussion before. Now, next. Let's continue reading. Until this point, everything is okay. We have our problems. It's a very regular mitzvah. And then had the Ram ended over here, we would have been okay. Comes the Rambam and starts talking about something. And frankly, we have no idea what he's talking about. Ukvar hisba'avu mishpatei mitzvah zo b'mesechta hamechuberes lezeh v'hu meseches yavomis. Okay. Right? He just said that before in the mitzvah yibum. V'hisba'ya dini mitzvah zo mesecha hamechuberes lo. What's the meseches yavomis? And he says the same thing over here, that in the mitzvah and the Maseches Yevomus is not only dinim of Yibum, but also the dinim mitzvah Chalitzah. Okay, say that. That's exactly what we would expect. Comes the Ram and adds another line, which just, what can I say? Ukva yodato loshon omrom dimatiki ashmuam b'cheres perik alf mishnah zayin mitzvah yibum kodemis l'mitzvah chalitza. That we know, correct? So that's ulchein nikris ha-mesechta yevomis. Meseches yevomis, that mesechtas have to do with the mitzvah, that they come that in the content, and if you have two mitzvahs in the content, you name it after the mitzvah, which is kedemes. Where does all this coming from? What does he want? It discusses both, but the mitzvah is called Yibum. The Masech is called Yavamis because the mitzvah is Yibum, Kodemis mitzvah Chalitzah. But derech klal, the Ram quotes those things nogea to what the mitzvah is at the beginning of the mitzvah when he writes in the mitzvahs, and at the end he has a list of mesechtes that discuss the dinim of this mitzvah. So then the question of why you call it Meseches Yevamos or Meseches Chalitzah, he says something like that. L'chayr has nothing to do with the dinim mitzvah. It's just that the place of where the dinim are found. So he basically asking a question. Why are the dinim of Chalitza found in a Masechta called Yevum, which is a different mitzvah? And not in the Maseches, not in the separate Masechta. And since mitzvah Yibum Kodem is mitzvah Chalitza, so it could be in the same Masechta. It's a very odd explanation of what's going on, but L'chayr is nothing about the negate to the mitzvah of Yibum mitzvah Chalitza. The question is, why should the dinim of the mitzvah Chalitza, which is a separate mitzvah, be in a Masechta called Yevamis? However, See, it's very interesting. You can learn from here that mitzvah chalitza and yibum are two separate mitzvahs. He's only quoting this to say that you can quote the dinim of chalitza in a mesechta called Yevomis. Because the Ram said in Mitzvah Say Pei Beis, Hine Yodeya Hakel Ki Hahekish Hoye Mechayiv Zeh, that the mitzvah of Padiyah and Arifa should have been one mitzvah by Petach Hamor. Lule Mashe Motzel Rabbi Seinu Zichorim Levocha the Matiki Hashmur Lo Shel Yoira Al Yosef Shtei Mitzvahs Vu Amram Mitzvahs Padiyah Kodemes Mitzvahs Arifa Mitzvahs Yibum Kodemes Mitzvahs Chalitza. That's the two mitzvahs. Ukmo Shayivoma Muchenis Im Liyibum Ola Chalitza. Vayibum Mitzvah Chalitza Mitzvah, two separate mitzvahs. Even though it should have been one mitzvah, according to Shiur Shvi. Kol Achas B'fnei Atzmo Mitzvah B'nei Atzmo Iska Kain Petach Hamor Muchon Ola Padiyah. Ola Arifa V'zu mitzvah Kmo She'omam. So it's two mitzvahs, but this is not what the Ram is quoting it for. But look at this. I just want to point something out. What does it mean, mitzvahs chalitza, mitzvahs yibum kodemes mitzvah chalitza? So I would have said, what I was doing with the chinuch, or that the mitzvah chalitza that the gavra has on him two mitzvahs, which he has to decide which one to do. He should either do yibum or chalitza, and which one is first? Or that the gavra has on him a mitzvah either of Padiyah or Arifa, which one is first? But listen to what the Ram said. Mitzvahs Padiyah kodemes the mitzvahs Arifa, u'mitzvahs Yibum kodemes the mitzvah Chalitza, u'kmo shahayivoma muchenes. We're talking about the Yivoma, not about the Yavom. Muchenes ol Yibum ol Chalitza. She's ready for either one of the two. Vayova vayibum mitzvah, vachalitza mitzvah. We're talking about the kodim as far as she is concerned. It's a very interesting thing. Kol achas mitzvah v'ne'atzmo, Moshe Niska came petach hamor, muchon, or that the petach hamor. It's not talking about the guy who owns the petach hamor. The petach hamor is muchon, ola pediyah, ola arifa, v'zu mitzvah, kamo she'amarnu, which is very interesting. And this has to be thought about in terms of the chinuch. Then the Rama writes, why in the world is the Rama interested in what the name of the Masechta is? And that the Masechtas are called by the names of the mitzvahs which they're within is a very interesting phenomenon and needs a lot of. Now, just one more point in this mitzvah. He says at the end, the afal pi she koleles dine hayibum v'chalitza b'shol. Now, in the original Arabic, it says dine is fika. You remember in Sherish Shvi'i, fika meant various permutations, very, many ways of doing the mitzvah. L'cheira, discussion of fika over here is just dine and has nothing to do with his discussion in Sherish Shvi'i. That l'cheira is what I would have said. Now, go on. Mitzvah Reish Chof Aleph. HaMitzvah ha'achas v'esrim u'masayim hi shetzivonu bedin eshes yifas toya. So here, first of all, tzivonu is a shran. It's a din. And he says it again. Tzivonu bedin eshes yifas toya. So, eshes yifas toya is only a din. Someone can't come and say, since we said shrana, where we learned that shrana is only a din and there's no kiyum as opposed to ramal, that a person who takes the yifas toya, there's no kiyum. It's only a din and it's only a heter. Bedin eshes yifas toya. Minyan mitzvah kotzer. He also says, "Lasos lifas toya hakosu, lasos kakosu," to do according to the pasuk. Shenevo isa bashivyo eshes yifas toya. And also the Protei mitzvahs in Hilchos Malachim u'Milchames. Din yifas toya, it's a din. So there's not a mitzvah regila, and there's no kiyum. As we pointed out from Minchas Chinuch. Now, that is, what you happen is, it's like we had in mitzvah tzadi hey, afores the dome, the Torah is a pasha afores the dome, and it tells you dinim, and the Torah has in mind that if it tells you dinim, you should act according to the din. There's assumed tzivui in Torah shebeksav, even though it's not foolish. He also, the Torah has a whole seder of what you do if you want to take such a woman as a wife, or not, to change your mind, or how you should, or whatever it is. So that is a shrana, as the Ram defines it, mitzvah Aseh tzadihei. Okay, Mitzvah Shem, we'll pick up next week.